Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again. Mildly hungover from yesterday's kind of patch note stream and all that, so bear with me as I struggle to get through this announcement video thing. We have got Necropolis fully announced in all its glory. It's actually pretty big as a, another standalone Path of Exile League. Was expecting some big things, and we got probably bigger than what we expected. Pretty much everything on the list you would have asked for, some kind of endgame shit, some kind of gems, and a nice league mechanic, and some balance and all that. And yeah, pretty much all of it's coming our way. So to begin with, the mechanic itself does look a bit confusing. How you're going to chop and change with the sort of monster buff, debuff, etc. stuff. I think it'll be pretty intuitive once we get into it, and then in the end it's going to result in crafting a few items here or there. It doesn't look like it'll be anything, super game changing, at least to begin with, but maybe once you get the right stuff, the right corpses together, you can make some pretty powerful items. At least by the looks of it, you might be able to make some items with some extra mods that could be deemed as some power creep. It's just about how hard that'll be to actually do. But as you can see, there's a lot to sink your teeth into as far as like end games concerned, mapping, more bosses, more higher maps, a bunch of quality of life. This actually honestly just feels like a very large patch overall, and I think that for the first few days, it's honestly going to feel kind of like a different game, even just with all these little micro tweaks and quality of lives and just, good, solid changes. So it's a pretty freaking big patch and expansion coming our way. So I'll try and go over just the announcement and some patch notes, hopefully not too long of a video here. Yep, Necropolis Challenge League, go in, some things are haunted, they're going to be a bit more buffed, they're going to do a bit more damage or some shit. First time we ever actually get to kind of see the layout of certain monster types and stuff inside a zone or a map. And as well as that, it's going to show like what some of those monsters do. So, you might hover over a mob and it'll say like it does fire damage or, has this sort of ability. So it's a bit more information about mob types and maps than we've probably ever had before, which is kind of interesting. You kill some stuff, you get some stuff, you'll sometimes take corpses away and then be able to use that sort of stuff to craft an item or two. And it kind of has similar vibes to Harvest, but dead instead of alive, because you might be able to target craft a certain item and come pretty close to exactly what you want to make with it if you have all the right stuff. We'll see how that pans out, but as I said, there will be some pretty powerful stuff happening already, as you can see from these examples. 34% damage taken recoup on a chest, as well as the gem socketed color thing. +1 power charge on a hat, and then you can still do Eldritch Implicits. That's pretty crazy. Nothing too crazy there, but the movement speed cannot be modified. Jug boots, I mean, that's pretty nuts. Getting to make some of this stuff, like if it's common enough or the recipes for them are established enough, that's going to be pretty damn nice and, game changing. They've already showed off several uniques and some of them look extremely busted. You got yourself the Wraithlord hat. That thing looks insane for Spectre users. I don't know, probably just straight up overpowered. Not too sure if Mana Storm's any good, but I never really fucked too much with it. This thing looks like it could be pretty solid. There's a lot of, competition over the belt slot already. So yeah, that is a tough one, to necessarily get into your build as well. But if this goes up to 3 charges for all 3 of those, it's huge flask sustain and then also 100% recovery from life flasks. That could end up being a pretty powerful belt for certain builds. Indeed. I love the look of these things. Fortify, if you can stack up to like 40 Fortify, which you would be able to do if you really try hard, then this covers like getting Fortify, and it also gives you a bunch of damage reduction as well as 40 attack speed. Pretty damn nice glove. Definitely want to get that into a few builds. And then of course rage. So cast Berserkers. This thing's going to be pretty insane. It'll be easy getting this much rage, like with the 200 mana thing, if you're a proper mana caster. And then, yeah, all your rage giving you cast speed and spell damage instead of attack speed and attack damage. Pretty nutty. You'll be able to get a lot of attack speed, a lot of cast speed and a lot of spell damage, especially if you're an actual Berserker. And yeah, this is going to create some pretty busted builds, I think. Some other stuff, you'll find some stuff that can, do even more for the league mechanic. Extra packs of monsters that drop specific things. But most notably of all of this is tattoos. So tattoos are going to come back from the Ancestor League. They're diluted, so they're nowhere near as good as they used to be, but there are still some pretty good ones and some, nice quality of life to be able to change some of your stats into some cooler things. And then, yeah, big new endgame. So tier 16 used to be the highest tier map. Now it's going to be tier 17. There's 5 of these. Each of them is going to have like a large boss or a penultimate boss. And then the maps can get pretty crazy themselves as well. And these maps serve the purpose of giving actual Uber fragments for the current Uber bosses. So you no longer have to make a choice between killing the regular boss or the Uber boss with your one key to that boss fight. You instead have to actually farm separate things. So if you want to do an Uber version, you are doing tier 17 maps, farming the fragments, and then doing an Uber version of that boss. It's something a lot of people have complained about and wanted for economic factors and stuff. The separation of Ubers and non-Ubers, and here it is. The maps themselves look like they're going to be pretty nuts as well. Like, we were told that there's going to be, you're going to fight other bosses and shit in there. You can have packs of Brutuses and stuff like that. So that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun and a pretty big challenging zone. And then give you specific Uber fights. And then, yep, additional Atlas skill trees. A lot of people wanted a way to save Atlas trees and go from one to another, like have a bossing Atlas tree and a farming Atlas tree. Instead, you get 3 now to chop and change between. You can have a farming one, you can have like a specific league mechanic one, you can have an end game one, and you can just insanely enough go to your, when you open a map, just pick whichever tree you want to activate towards that map. So you don't actually even have to like change your layout to the entire new tree. You just click whichever one you want at the time that you want. It seems like insane quality of life, and yeah, this will be a game changer for sure. Reworked some endgame content systems, so sextants are going away, which is, a good thing. Scarabs are much more diverse in what they're going to do. They're going to do some cooler shit by the looks of it. So you won't necessarily always want to have, always have the right scarabs or always have to use scarabs in certain ways. But once you get some cool scarabs, they should feel a bit cooler sometimes. I think anyway, this is my interpretation of the scarabs. Get a really cool one, use it, get a real cool reward out of it, feels impactful and good. But there's a lot more scarabs now and they're going to do a lot more things. And then, yep, passive skill tree improved to give you more permanence to the content you might want than before. So if you want to like guarantee Legion, you pretty much will be able to guarantee Legion. And then you can get all of the master missions or all of the masters to show up in a map randomly at the same time. They are no longer exclusive, and master missions don't actually exist anymore either. More transfigured gems, so they are doing a bunch more to a bunch of skills. And some of them already look kind of nuts. Not too sure what to say about these at the moment. I think Ice Shot could be a thing. Maybe Ignite Ice Shot as well. This one hits a lot harder and does, some extra projectile stuff. But yep, some of them look like they're going to be pretty nuts. And then supporter packs are indeed pretty freaking cool. If you haven't already had a look. Power of the Sun and stuff, you look cooler with the sun thing, but then you can fly around on a cosmic turtle as your hideout, or you look a bit eldritchy and stuff, and Shaper Slam as a finisher, Mimic Strongbox or Mimic Stash. Yep, cool eldritch shit. And then I don't know what happened, Eldritch Horror Apparition, like they do a fight or something, I don't know, it's whatever. So Yeah, there's obviously a lot to talk about with patch notes. If we went over every single one, I probably can't do that. That's just an overview of the expansion or the um, league, and it's looking pretty thick. I am pretty damn excited to get into this one and experience what I think is going to be pretty much a whole new game, is what it feels like. I'll just go over a few notable things from the patch notes. Sacred Wisps. This looks big. It's going to be a support that you can use to enhance your single target on wanding by quite a lot by the looks of it. You get like 2 extra wisps that kind of follow you when you're attacking single target, and then they'll just replicate your skills at the cost of a support gem. And that means that, yeah, maybe Ellie Hit and Power Scythe and stuff like that will be very viable as starters, and then obviously as end game builds as well. So that one looks pretty damn cool. Let's see, automation. So people are mad about that, but it's whatever. You can automate certain things like molten shell, but it's going to cost you a support gem socket or a gem socket in general. Some pros, some cons to that, of course. Transfigured gems for all of that. Scarabs, Veil Orbs, fallen currencies have stack sizes of 20. Little bit of quality of life, Exalts, Regals, Divines, all having 20 stack size. Let's see, Pantheon powers, you're going to be able to keep them for all of your characters. That's a big quality of life, not having to redo them. Bunch of stuff. They said myriad of small improvements to the campaign. Fun encounters and secrets have been scattered throughout Rayclast. So, not entirely sure what that means, but I think that means I'm going to try and explore the campaign in full and see if we can find some cool shit on day one anyway. Alt arts from your standard stash and stuff, you can now suck them up and turn them into MTXs, which is what they said they'd do like 5 years ago, and here it is. And then Witch new dialogue, so if you want to go through on day one with a Witch, check out the new dialogue. That will probably be pretty cool. And then, yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. So endgame improvements, as we already looked at, they've buffed a bunch of uniques. Some, particular uniques that are pretty old, and then turn them into much bigger items, and they're going to be in like tier 17 maps. Let's see, Sextants and Master Missions removed, Scarab rework, Maven invites, it's a pretty good one. When you're doing your like endgame Guardian maps and stuff, there's no longer going to be Maven invites that drop for that, which is a very RNG system. Instead, you kill your 4 Shaper Guardians, and then Kirak's going to be like, yo, you can now go do the fight with all 4 of them. That's very good, a very good system update, because previously it's a very RNG system where if you wanted to fight the Shaper Guardians over and over again and stuff, you just have to hope that the formed sort of invite dropped, and sometimes you'd get very unlucky and you just wouldn't be able to get it. You wouldn't be able to fight it for like a fucking league. So anyway, pretty big update there. Bunch of stuff to the Atlas passive tree to make things a bit more, like I said, a bit more permanence to certain mechanics you might want to do. And then you can do... That's not what I wanted to look at. It was Kirak mods, yeah. You can choose whatever league mechanic you want on your Kirak mods now when you open a map, so you can pick from any of them, which is pretty crazy. Like 6C for harvests is pretty nuts, So they changed like some of the costs and stuff as well. Atlas changes, league changes, so some of the betrayal stuff is going to have a bit different rewards than before, given scarabs and stuff, and some of the changes. Anything else? Skill gem changes. I mean, there's a few buffs and nerfs and stuff across the board, especially to the recent transfigured gems, so trying to make some of them a bit better. Some of them were a bit too good. And ascendancy changes. Nothing really big happened here, maybe just for the Necromancer, but I'm not very well versed with the Necromancer. Apparently Necromancers are going to be eating well this league, is all I can say. And then one of the big things that everyone should be aware of is Ralakesha boots are pretty insane right now. They're getting 30% movement speed taken away, but they're still functionally going to do the same thing in power level, so it's going to be pretty crazy to still have those around. Maybe they're going to be rarer as well, who knows. I don't see this as a big deal breaker at all, just very crazy boots. And yeah, there's a few other tattoo changes and shit. Um, div cards, ruthless, you know, some monster balance. I don't know if there's anything too worth mentioning there. And yep, I think that's where I'll end it. There you go. Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys are excited for this one. It's a pretty solid, large update, I'd say. And yeah, overall, the league itself, the league mechanic for me is going to be like a small part of it, at least to begin with. Maybe it ends up being a real banger of a league mechanic, but just the whole update around the end game and quality of life and stuff is going to feel so good and going to be a pretty big Path of Exile patch. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and see you guys next time.